Story 1. We have an inside joke because he thinks my cat is weird looking. Anytime he sees a weird looking dog out in public, he sends me a picture asking if it's our cat. I just think it's the most lame and hilarious thing, considering we've done it for almost a decade. Story 2. Since the moment we met, he always has conversations with my husky when he thinks I can't hear him. She is very chatty and will allure in conversation format, but only with the humans she loves the most. And my partner is a stoic and seemingly rough around the edges man who's a big softy on the inside. He'll playfully say things like, "Oh really?" or "You said that yesterday." Absolutely melts my heart. Story 3. 1. She's really defensive if she's feeling emotionally vulnerable. She can't lie to save her life. The first time we hooked up, she didn't really have a lot of experience at all, something I wasn't aware of, but I knew I really liked her. There was just something so refreshingly honest and unassuming about her. Anyway, afterward, we were getting dressed and I said, I wasn't really looking for anything serious, but dash. And she interrupted with, "Oh, absolutely. Me neither. I'm just playing the field. That's what college is for. Just having fun. Don't want anything serious. Don't tie me down." She is hands down the worst, most awkward liar I've ever met. So, trying to keep a straight face, I said, "But I was hoping to see you again. This was really nice and dash." Again, she interrupted me with, "Me too. I would love to meet up again. I really like yo." My sister told me not to say that or I'd scare you off. She's learned to relax a lot since then, but I still enjoy bringing that story up from time to time. Story 4. When he thinks I'm not listening, he trails off with unhinged things like, "And then I punched him in the dick," or "So forget you, Steve." His name is Steve, and it's hilarious. Story 5. He has horrible social anxiety. He's terribly charming, and people are drawn to him, but it freaks him out. His anxiety is so bad that he practices saying hello to me before I answer the phone. I pretend I don't hear it and wait for him to take a break before I say hello. We've been together 20 years. It breaks my heart that I can't do more for him regarding the anxiety, so I try to take all of those terrifying social things off his plate. I'm sure people think I'm his pain in the ass, large and in charge wife, but I don't care. If I order his food, he's more relaxed. I make the doctor's appointments because it stresses him to do so. Story 6. When I wake up in the middle of the night, either from a bad dream or just being restless, I shuffle around to get comfortable again and my partner pulls me closer to him and snuggles up. I thought I was always waking him up, so I brought it up and apologized, and he said he doesn't remember being woken up at all. Apparently, the cuddling up is a reflex now. I also taught him how to do the floss dance move as a joke, and now he does it while he's waiting for his food to be done. Story 7. When we first started dating, he could not care less about birds. I love birds. After a few months, he began asking me, "Who is that?" about various little guys we would see on hikes. It turns out that he was paying close attention and secretly reading up on our local species. One day he exclaimed, "Look, it is, a doofus-headed towhee." It was a rufous-sided towhee. I nearly died laughing and told him he was the most adorable person I had ever met. I also caught him having full-blown conversations with my parrot. "But why do you think the Rolling Stones are better than the Beatles? You are insane. You have terrible taste. You are never choosing the music again." Story 8. That one time he was so upset that he cheated on me in a dream with an evil doppelganger of me. He woke me up immediately to tell me about it and apologize. Story 9. I swear mine can read my mind. Lying on the sofa, I'll think, "It would be great if he rubbed my feet." And then 15 seconds later, he's doing it. Or I'll remember, "Oh, tomorrow is trash day," and he's already taken the carts out. He is very consistent with his mind reading. Story 10. She does this weird little cartoon old-timey prospector dance when she gets excited about something she knows is silly. Always makes me laugh seeing a 5'2" reserved Indian woman act like a dork. Story 11. Whenever we are spending time together but not doing the same thing, he will constantly look back or check up on me. Like clockwork. It makes me feel so loved. Story 12. I've never had a relationship where it was just simple. Nothing devolves into name-calling or yelling. He listens to me. He makes me feel heard. He's the person I look forward to seeing most every day. We tackle problems together. He makes me want to be a better version of myself for him all the time. My choices are better because I think of how something may affect him. I dream of when we're retired and it's just us together, living our best lives with no cares in the world except what we want to do. He accepts who I am, and while I know who I am isn't always easy, he handles it with grace and love. Story 13. Our love is easy. Simple as that. I've had people ask why I love my wife or similar questions before, and they seem to want a list of qualities. I could give a list of qualities that attract me and make us very compatible. But I've known plenty of other women with most or all of those qualities, dated some, and still it didn't work out for whatever reason. But with her, our love is easy and has been from day one. Story 14. I save the ends of my vegetables and the pits of avocados to give to him because he likes trying to grow stuff. So far, he sprouted 3 avocado plants, 4 bulbs of garlic, 1 carrot, some celery, 3 leeks, and an infinite amount of spring onions in our linen closet, all of which are now growing in terracotta pots he borrowed from my mom's gardening shed that she doesn't use anymore. He also found a random seed, I think possibly a chestnut, which he's planted in an old barrel in the yard, and it's actually growing a tree. Last spring, he completely revived my mom's flower garden, which she had given up hope for. Extremely sentimental for us all because it was originally my grandma's flower garden, but it went to hell after she died several years ago. He has a shockingly high success rate with plants, and I fully believe it's because he's such a nurturing and naturally loving person. He even sings to them. Story 15. Her superpower is the ability to identify the low point in a movie. I know that whatever movie we watch together, when it hits the low point, she will lean over and whisper, "This is the low point." Story 16. We end up saying the exact same thing at the exact same time so often. We always look at each other and laugh and usually hug, always followed by, "I love you so much. I'm so damn lucky." Honorable mention to him intentionally saying things a certain way or responding in a specific way because he knows it'll make me laugh every time. For example, me, "Would you ever want to sleep in the bed? Just for fun?" Him, "No." Me, "Why not?" Him, "What do you mean, why not?" It's that last part that always gets me. I ask him crazy nonsense just to get a laugh out of him and to get to the part where he says that. We end up in fits of giggles and cuddling. Story 17. He pumps up the music volume every time I go to the bathroom. He started doing it 12 years ago since we first started dating to make me less self-conscious about using the toilet. He's still doing it even though there's no longer any need. But it's a cute habit and appreciated anyway. Story 18. We went on our first date, and I'm very awkward. As I was looking at the menu thinking of something to start a conversation about, I blurted out, "I like cheese." He was all, "You like cheese?" And I was like, yeah," very mortified. He looked at me like it was the greatest comment ever. Then we burst into laughter. Still laugh about it years later. Story 19. When we get takeout or when we are at a restaurant, she takes a bite of my food and says she is making sure it is not poisoned. I commend her bravery and selflessness. Story 20. He always comes to me, even when I'm wrong, to reconcile. He has the gentlest heart and makes me feel good just the way I am. I learned from him what it means to be loved for who I am. Story 21. He loves all living creatures and will go out of his way to save a bug. When butterflies land on him, he sits very still and talks with them. Also, when we first met, we both discovered that our mothers gave us the same unicorn and snake artwork. Mine was a tapestry and his was a poster. Story 22. In Colombia, there was this meme about women actually wanting men who solve problems. Well, my husband is such a man. He figures out how to fix things like house fixture problems, social awkwardness, a godsend to me as I am socially awkward, and so on. He might not be conventionally attractive, but he knows his stuff and he can fix things. And I love that. Story 23. Today's his birthday, and we stopped at Best Buy so he could browse technology stuff. He is a big gamer, limited to a simple gaming laptop, so he likes to window shop and daydream. He spent 20 minutes talking about this driving simulator car will controller, with this bright light in his eyes and the excitement of a young boy. I fell in love all over again. I swear it. He will get one of those driving setup things sometime in this lifespan. If it is the last thing I do just to see him smile like that. Story 24. Every year she gets me a gift of something to do with the kids. One year, the boy said he wanted to grow a garden after school project. So she got me seeds, wood to make a raised box, 200 kilograms of soil bags. Took her nearly a week to hide them, waterproof paints, and a stencil to paint Daddy and the boy's vegetable patch on the side. Another year, her gift was a wrapped receipt for the administrative cost to change the times of some of her classes, which was a real challenge for her, so that my daughter and I could make it to the park run every week. I didn't have the happiest childhood, and she goes out of her way to make sure I can get quality time, like real quality time, alone with the kids. She knows it's the thing I love most in the world, and she pulls something out of the bag every year. Story 25. My husband and I have always been big fans of people watching. We created our own language in our 20s, essentially so we could talk about people in front of them. For the most part, we grew up, became parents, and moved on from our secret language, but sometimes we still slip back into it, and I love it so much when we do. Story 26. He looks like he can eat shrapnel and shoot bullets, and every day he goes against the stereotypes and toxic masculine nonsense the world expects him to be. For example, he frequently has a bubble bath with a bath bomb to unwind. Story 27. He's up for anything I've signed us up to do. I tend to try and help around my community to stay busy. Anytime I tell him we're going to donate money, join a new cause, foster an animal, make and deliver lasagnas to neighbors, volunteer at an organization, and so on, he's on board. Even when he's tired or maybe not in the mood, he's always there to help other people and me. I love that about him. Story 28. We joke all the time about what would be the best bad present. Our current top contender is a dirty Band-Aid. Things like that make us giggle until we can't breathe, and looking at each other makes it worse. Story 29. One time, I was distracted doing something and my wife goes, "Here, hold this for a second," and drops something in my hand. She is very serious, usually, so I just put my hand out without giving it any thought and held it. After an entire minute or two of pressing on with the task, I needed my other hand, and so I looked in my hand to give it back to her. It was a tiny, dry booger. I couldn't believe how long I held on to it, and I completely freaked out. In a sense, I'm still hanging on to it. Story 30. The crockery section of the supermarket always makes him light up for some reason. He just likes looking at them. Also, he picks up our cat like a log with two hands and holds him up for me to kiss. Story 31. She will stop and take pictures of pretty mushrooms and moss for me. And in autumn when she walks through the park home from work, she sometimes brings me a fallen leaf. I have them all saved in a little book, and they are all so precious to me. Story 32. He's horribly affected by people vomiting, right? He will immediately start gagging if anyone nearby is vomiting or even talks about it. One day I was vomiting in the bathroom with the door closed so that he wouldn't hear it, and he comes in and opens the door between gags so that he can actually hear it and be in my direct line of sight from his chair so he can come to my rescue in case I start choking or gagging. That's how I knew he loved me. I knew beforehand, but that was a really big sign. Story 33. That he feels comfortable enough to share his social anxiety stories with me. Like the day a senior person at work started talking to him one day, and he was so anxious he said something weird, dropped his smoothie, and ran away. Also, he is my greatest supporter and always has my back. Story 34. When my wife gets excitedly passionate about something, she smiles with her tongue against her top teeth in the most adorable way. I often ask her questions about her hobbies just to see that smile. Story 35. He sends me photos of cool-looking mushrooms he finds while hiking or on walks because he knows I love mushrooms. He will also point them out to me when we are hiking together. Story 36. We talk to each other using our animals as proxies. He has a very specific personality for both the cat and the dog, and they are so wildly different it's hilarious. I know we've used the dog to communicate in public, and I'm sure onlookers thought we were deranged. When either of us is away for work, We make the dog video call the other and beg them to come home. The cat never calls because, well, he's a cat and couldn't care less. Story 37. It's the way she gets excited when we leave food for the foxes. Even the animals love her. We got woken up one morning to the foxes yapping under our window, summoning her for food. Story 38. Every morning on our way to work, after I drop off our son at daycare, my husband calls me just to talk and make the drive go by easier and faster because my commute is longer than his, and I deal with BS inner-city traffic. But it's so sweet. Story 39. He knows the solution to a difficult day is almost always found at a bookstore. I don't even need to buy something. Sometimes I can just be there. It's peace for me, and he knows this. Story 40. We have a thing where I run my fingers through his hair and give him little head scratches, and he just cuddles right into me and falls asleep instantly 98% of the time. Story 41. If he accidentally startles the cat or, in any way, inadvertently does something that might make her feel uncomfortable, he picks her up and gives her cuddles so she knows it wasn't intentional and he loves her. It is just so incredibly sweet and cute. It melts my heart.